Welcome to the Winning Hand Podcast, the podcast all about Marvel Champions, one card at a time. I am your host, as always, Boomguy, and I am joined today by my compatriot, LazyTitan. What's up, man?
How's it going? It's just me today.
It's just you. It's just the two of us.
It's just the two of us.
I can't remember the last
We
time.
can make it if we try.
When's the last time we had a podcast, just the two of us?
I don't know if we've ever had a podcast just the two of us. We've had duo podcasts on here, but I don't think it's ever been just you and me.
I don't think it has. It might be a first.
The last remaining members of the original crew.
Well, this is episode 54.5, which is a bonus episode. So this is outside the normal one card at a time framework. For those of you who listen regularly and have been listening since the beginning or have listened to many of our episodes, I should just explain that any episode that is a not point decimal episode, like, you know, the mainline standard episodes, those are generally considered to be kind of the timeless episodes of the podcast. We designed the podcast to be somewhat evergreen so that whatever you're listening to, whenever you're listening to it, it will sound relevant, right? The cards don't really go out of date. But all of the episodes that are 0.5, 0.1, 0.7, whatever, 0.63, those are all somewhat time sensitive. So they're either spoiler cards from FFG, or they are, you know, like this one, an end of the year recap, or some other kind of episode that doesn't fit the standard one card at a time thing. Either way, glad you're joining us for this episode because we wanted to wrap up the year 2024. We did not do an end of year recap last year. This is a new thing for us. So we'll see how it goes. Let us know down below if you like it, or send an email, winninghandpodcast@gmail.com, and let us know if you like this kind of thing, if you'd like to see more of it. We are going to talk through the scenarios, the mod sets, the aspect cards, and the heroes of this year. We're going to pick our favorite mod set, our favorite of each aspect card, and our favorite hero of 2024. So hopefully you guys are excited about that, because I'm excited to talk about this. Before we get into that, I do want to just recap quickly. We had a giveaway in December of 2024. So if you're listening to this on the day it comes out, it is December 31st. Happy New Year's Eve. The giveaway is over. Everybody has been contacted, and your cards will be sent out shortly. So please enjoy them. You know, send me an email, leave a comment, hit me on Discord, and show me when you get them. I'm excited that everyone's going to get these into their hands. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go back and check out our episode. I don't forget what number it is, but a couple episodes ago we did a special on the cards. Do you know what it is?
Too late now, though.
Oh, it's too late now, but you can go check out what I'm talking about if you don't know.
You can go find it. It's like, this is 54. It's probably like 50.
Yeah, 52, 53, somewhere in there. 53.5
it doesn't matter. It's over.
It doesn't matter. It's over. You missed it. I'm sorry. Try again next time. We will have more. All right, so LazyTitan, this year we published, in 2024, the calendar year 2024, we published 38 episodes.
It's a lot.
That's a lot.
And for those with a keen eye for math, that is more than our regular schedule of one every other week. That would add up to 24, which means we have 14 auxiliary episodes that somehow appeared.
Well, we did a deep dive of Vision. So we did 4 episodes in June of 2024, all about Vision. We did 4 episodes in February for what we called Love Month, celebrating Valentine's Day.
2 more.
We did team-up cards, the kind of romantically themed team-up cards. We did a couple extra episodes, right? Again, the ones I talked about that are not mainline episodes. We did a Caleb Grace interview. We did a MJ Newman interview. We did a Tony Fanchi interview. So there's 3 more.
A spoiler.
We did 3 spoilers. Can you name the top of your head the 3 cards we spoiled? Do you remember?
We did Kurt's Chapel.
Yep.
Magnetic Bubble.
Yep.
Oh, what's the third one? Is it Kid Omega?
Kid Omega.
There
ding,
we
ding,
go.
ding, ding. He's
See,
got all 3 of them. So those are the 3 cards we spoiled. Kurt's Chapel from Nightcrawler's pack, and then Kid Omega and Magnetic Bubble from the Magneto Precon. We had 9 guests this year, not counting designers or FFG employees or former FFG employees. We had 9 guests here to talk through cards. Our first episode of the year was episode 23, and that was in January of 2024. We had Brant on, or at the Brant.
Does that Bring It?
Discord. That was the Bring It episode. Yes,
okay.
sir. You were not in that episode.
I was not in that episode.
You were away for a work thing, as I recall.
Extenuating circumstances.
Yeah. We did. So this is the last episode. This is 54.5. So that's kind of the range we're talking about. We did 5 episodes that are on YouTube only. So we started a new series called All Hands on Decks, and we did another one wrapping up the giveaway with the cards. So that's all on YouTube only. Going forward, the All Hands on Deck series, our weekly deck building series with Andy R, that will be audio also. So please check that out. We also started gameplay on the channel this year on the YouTube. So
This is true.
we have a couple of gameplay episodes. So we diversified quite a bit this year. It's a big year for
We
the
expanded
podcast.
the brand.
Yeah, we did.
Really spread out from the one card at a time.
How do you think it went?
I think it went pretty well. I mean, the people are loving it. Obviously, the People's Podcast has grown, and I'm excited. I'm excited to go to the con, see for next year, see what's up, see if anybody recognizes us now that our faces are visible. Now
Yeah,
that
we have
now that
faces on
the
YouTube
internet
now.
knows what I look like. See if anyone knows who I am.
Now people will recognize us. Last year we had some anonymity because the podcast was audio only. This year, no such luck.
No such luck. I think people will know you, but we'll
Yeah.
see if they recognize the King of Aggression.
The King of Aggression, the Red King,
The
as
King in
they
Red.
call him. Okay, so before we get into the kind of recap of what I talked about, our favorites and all that kind of stuff, we should say from the start, there was only one wave this year. It was a little bit slower wave for FFG. We had the Age of Apocalypse, which is cycle 8, wave 8 of the game, which included the one big box, Age of Apocalypse, which had 2 hero precons in it, Magic and Bishop, and then we had 4 more hero packs, Iceman, Jubilee, Nightcrawler, and Magneto. So all in all, not a huge year in terms of the amount of content, but I think it was a good year, and we'll talk about that. I do want to hit some themes that I noticed this year before we get into the specifics. So I noticed this year there was a lot of reprints, and some of that has to do with the licensing and the art that comes from FFG. They've talked about this. X-Men art and other Marvel character art can't exist in the same pack, so anytime they put a card out, it's a reprint. Or maybe that's why they reprinted them. I
Some
don't know.
weird licensing stuff.
Yeah, whatever. I don't know
It's a
that
whole
part
thing.
of it. But so there was 16 total reprints, and some of them I think were very needed and very welcome, and some of them I don't know. So I'm going to talk through these real quick and see what you think. So in Bishop's pack, we had 3 reprints. We had Lead from the Front, Power of Leadership, and Team Training.
Power of Leadership feels unnecessary. I feel like we had a lot of those.
Yeah, maybe.
And Lead from the Front, I don't know if people are playing Lead from the Front. I'm not.
Lead from the Front is a
But
2-cost event that you choose a player, and each character that player controls get +1 thwart and +1 attack for the phase. So, I mean, it's I don't know.
It's a card.
I don't use it a ton, but I don't think it's a bad card by any means.
Yeah, not terrible reprints there.
In Magic had 3 reprints also. She had Power of Aggression, so that's the event or the
It's a great
resource
card.
rather.
Amazing card. Very very neat reprint.
And then we had Clobber, which is the 2-cost event and deals 3 damage. And then if it's the first card you played that phase, you return it to your hand.
Yeah, that's it's one of those cards that I feel like doesn't need to be so low statted. Like I feel like if Clobber did 4 damage, probably not 5, but I feel like if Clobber did 4 damage, it still wouldn't be broken. Because it's like you do 3 damage, you can put it back in your hand and deal 6 damage. So your entire turn can be spent doing 6 damage.
It's weird because generally so Impede is the other one of these. It's the Justice version, which is 2 cost. You remove 3 threat from the main scheme only, and then if it's a first card, return it to your hand. Generally, the designers value damage and threat mitigation differently. So I would have expected if Impede is 2 for 3 that Clobber would be 2 for 4.
Maybe even
because
2 for
it's
5
slightly
if they
cheaper.
wanted to make it really good.
2 for 5 would make it really good.
To make it
I
really
think 2
good.
good.
I think 2, yeah, but 2 for 4 I think is very fair and could have just been. Then it's like a kickback, right? It's basically a 1-cost event because you can play it and then it kicks back your hand, you get it, and that
You can
feels
spend
really
it on
good.
something else.
1 for 4 is quite powerful. Technically, it's 1 for 3. It just feels bad.
Yeah, it's not great. And the
It's
other
not
one she
great.
had
But it came out with Guardians, so it's a bit too late now.
It's a little old, yeah. The other one she has is Spiritual Meditation, which is a basic zero-cost event that you can only play if you have the Mystic trait, and you draw 2 cards and choose and discard 1 from your hand. So
this is one I don't know if we needed. I feel like Sorcerer Supreme came with Strange, correct?
Yes.
I feel like if you're playing Mystics, you bought the Strange pack because Sorcerer Supreme is the best card anyway. And if you don't get this one and this one, you're probably still going to want to buy Strange. And Spiritual Meditation is also in that pack. I guess if you want an X-Men art, right? If you want Legion on there instead of Doctor Strange. I prefer the Doctor Strange art.
I prefer the other art. I think Spiritual Meditation is a product of the Hero Pack philosophy, right? Mm-hmm. It works in her precon, and they want all of these decks to be functional as precons. They're not just sets of cards to add to the card pool. They are decks that should operate and be functional on their own. Mm-hmm. And that's why I understand Spiritual Meditation gets a reprint here.
I get it.
I don't mind it, but I don't play it.
It is what it is.
All right, so then Iceman had 4 reprints. Mm-hmm. He got Looking for Trouble, which I know you're a fan of.
Huge fan.
He got Team Building Exercise, Recuperation, and The Power in All of Us. The one that stands out to me there is Recuperation.
Yeah.
That feels like an odd choice for a reprint.
It's a core set card, isn't it?
I'm pretty sure it's a core set card. Correct me if I'm wrong, listeners.
I'm not going to look it up right now, but I believe it is a core set card.
It's a 2-cost event.
Yes.
Which is an alter ego action. You heal damage from your alter ego equal to your recovery.
Basically, pay 2 to get your recover again.
I don't think I've ever used this card.
I don't think I've ever used this card, and the only thing I would use it for is probably Deadpool. If I'm like dying, and then I can just heal myself up really fast. But you already have the Chimichanga truck. You don't need that.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know if it's...
Yeah.
Aside from this card being good, I don't think it really makes sense as a reprint because it is a core set card, and you have to buy the core set.
So everybody should already have it. Yeah.
So everybody should have it, ideally.
And is it needed for Iceman? I don't know.
No?
I
don't know. Even beyond the power of and the uselessness of this card, it just doesn't really make sense as like a card to print.
Yeah.
It would have been nice to see either a new card or a more needed reprint.
Agreed.
But these other ones aren't bad. Looking for Trouble is, I think, a good reprint because it was only previously printed in the Guardians box.
Looking for Trouble came in...
I believe it came in Galaxy's Most Wanted, and that is an unpopular box. So if you're getting into the game and you are looking to play like a minion-focused game plan, it's nice to be able to buy a pack that isn't one of the more infamous packs in the set.
Yes. And that applies...
It does come with Rocket, who's really cool.
Yes.
And Groot, who's fun. But I think it's a nice other option. It's a card that was only printed one time in a not very popular thing. So if you're looking online, you're a new player, you're like, what should I buy? People are going to tell you, probably don't buy Guardians. Galaxy was Wanted. It's not great.
Yeah.
So then you may miss out on these cards. So that's a nice reprint to have.
I think... Well, so similarly, Magneto came with Deft Focus reprint, which also came with that same Galaxy's Most Wanted box, and that's one that people have been asking for a long time.
Yeah, it's a very used card.
It's a very good card. So I'm glad they reprinted that. And then Jubilee came with the Power of Justice, another resource, and X-Gene, which is a good mutant card. And Nightcrawler came with Powerful Punch and the Power of Protection.
Powerful Punch is fine.
Powerful Punch is great for his precon because he came with the new Change of Fortune archetype, which can draw you cards. So I think it's amazing in that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then also Moira McTaggart, who was already printed in this X-Men wave.
Yeah,
but
2
it's
waves
nice
ago.
to have a second
Wave
copy.
6.
Since we do have so many mutants, that it's nice to have a second copy. Just for not even just for the convenience of like having multiple decks built that may want it.
100%.
For all these heroes that like to flip down.
Yeah, I totally agree. I was a little surprised that one came as a reprint because it was just printed a little bit ago, but there's enough mutants now.
As we're going to talk about in a little bit here, there are more mutants than any other set of heroes.
Yeah.
It is the most common keyword at this point.
I don't know if it's the most common keyword. Maybe it's the most common team trait.
If we're talking like skill and tactic, then yeah. But it's the most common hero keyword to have is mutant.
So let's just cut to right there. So you mentioned this is the end of the mutants now.
Mm-hmm.
We've had 3 waves of mutants, and there are now total 55 heroes by my count. 20 of them are mutants. So
almost half.
Between a third and a half of the entire pool of heroes are mutants. 14 of those are X-Men, and 6 of those are X-Force. So there is a distinction there for people who read comics. I don't know really what it is. I thought Angel was an X-Man. Maybe someone's going to at me in the comments and tell me why.
I think X-Force is kind of like a more like Black Ops kind of like
go on.
X-Men.
Okay.
I think the X-Men are just like a superhero team, and I think the X-Force are more of the like soldier-focused kind of like sneaky operative team.
Okay.
Like Domino and Cable and Deadpool all have guns. They're like more operatives than just superheroes.
Fair.
I think is the difference. Correct me if I'm wrong. I also don't read comics.
Somebody let him know. Is he right or is he wrong?
But they now are the most popular trait, beating out the Avengers, who there are 19 Avengers by our count.
19 Avengers.
So
at one point, the Avengers felt like the entire game, or they basically were.
At one point, the Avengers were most of Marvel for a lot of people.
True.
Now, of course, X-Men have always been the most popular comics. They're very, people love X-Men.
Yeah.
And we got a lot of them. But how do you feel about having, looking at the numbers as we counted them out, it feels crazy how few of the other traits there are, thinking about it.
Yeah, when you make a list of it, right, we have 20 mutants and we have 19 Avengers, and then the next team is the Guardians, and they have 7.
Yeah, and then it's the Champions with 4, and then there's Web Warriors with 4, and there's overlap between them because Miles is both. And then there's 1 Inhuman and a single Space Knight.
We still only have 1 Space Knight, which is criminal.
And still only 1 Inhuman, which is an actual team.
That is... Are you saying Space Knights are not an actual team?
I don't know what a Space Knight is. Neither do you. No one knows what a Space Knight is.
No one knows what a Space Knight is. But that's kind of a joke. The Inhumans are a team, and they're, I think, Lockjaw, the ally. I think he's traded Inhuman. Yeah. But he's sadly not one of the heroes, so he doesn't make the list here.
Black Bolt and Medusa and all of them. They're on. I think they live on the moon, right? I don't know. They're weird.
I don't know. Listeners,
I
viewers,
they live on the moon.
Comment down below.
Did you write it wrong? On or near the moon, and they have all kinds of weird powers. But we now have. I mean, we already had as many Avengers as we did everybody else combined before the mutants came out.
Yes,
and now we have more mutants than everybody else except for the Avengers combined. So we now have 2 real big main teams, and then basically just a bunch of sidekicks, almost, of just like random characters.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think we could revisit some of these, right? I could see some more Guardians.
I could see a couple more Guardians.
Mantis got
Guardians are kind of a smaller team, though. There's only so many of them. Like, even in the movies, there's like 8 of them.
Yeah.
Mantis did kind of get robbed. I feel like she got a little snubbed for Adam Warlock, especially because at the time of release, Adam Warlock wasn't even in those movies. He is now because of the 3rd one, but he's not even that big of a character. I feel like Mantis got a little snubbed.
I feel like there's more. Like, there's a bunch of allies that we got, right? Isn't Throg traded as a Guardian? No.
Throg is traded as a Guardian. So is Angela.
So I want to see some of that. Could be cool. Building out both of those traits.
The Asgardians of the Galaxy. That could be a fun wave. Throg.
The Asgardians of the Galaxy?
Asgardians of the Galaxy. Valkyrie and Throg and
what about
Angela,
an ultimate Thor?
And another Thor.
What's that guy made of rock?
Korg.
Korg?
Or his little bug friend Meek. You could do all these fun characters. All the ones
those
from
are some
Ragnarok,
deep cuts.
basically. I mean, they're in one of the most popular Thor movies.
That's true.
Ragnarok is one of the best. I would say the best Thor movie. It's a very popular movie.
Yeah, it's a pretty solid one. I think we should get more Guardians.
I think we should get more of something other than mutants and Avengers. Avengers are cool, and we could get more Avengers. But I'm really starting to feel that mutant burnout. There's a lot of them.
Yeah, I'm starting to feel that burnout. I don't remember feeling the same burnout with the Avengers when they kind of wrapped up.
Yeah, it was also earlier in the game. So
it was early in the game.
Just the first few cycles. That was all we had at the time. There were only Avengers at that time, so it was just like heroes. Now that we know that they're going for all these different things, 2 years now, almost 3 years of Mutants.
Yeah,
is a lot.
it's a lot. But I
But
don't want to rain on anyone's parade. There's a lot of people who are very excited about the Mutants.
Oh yeah, I'm glad they got their day in the sun. I think Mutants are popular. People love their X-Men. I'm glad they got them.
Yeah.
I maybe would have wished that we broke them up a little bit so we can get some variety in between for us non-X-Men fans who are maybe looking for something in between. Maybe after X-Force, it would have been nice to get like something just like to palate cleanse and get more Mutants later. But
that's the licensing thing fans, I think against.
Yeah.
They had to kind of get them all out at once.
Enjoy all your Mutants.
Yeah.
There's lots of them.
And I think a lot of people, to be honest, joined the game because of the Mutants. I think that pulled in a lot of new players, which is great. I'm super excited. So, if this is your first year, if you joined because of the Mutants, leave me a comment. Like, did you get all the Mutants that you wanted? Did you get everyone that you wanted to see from that wave? Or was there a specific hero that pulled you in? I definitely want to hear from people what their thoughts were. Mm-hmm. So leave me a comment. Let me know. So then the last thing I wanted to hit on for the year that stood out as something interesting beyond just specific scenarios and cards was Alliance cards. So Alliance cards came in with the Guardians and Avengers. They came in the Guardians wave, and they were, the Alliance keyword means anybody at the table can pay for those cards. And they came out, and most of them I think had to do with exhausting an Avenger and a Guardian.
There's one in every aspect and basic, and they were all about doing whatever that aspect does. They were pretty high cost though.
I think they all cost 4.
The aggression one is 2.
Oh, as one. Mm-hmm.
As one, but the protection and the justice ones are 4. I think the leadership one is 4.
I think it costs 4.
The
basic one
is 3.
Maybe? Cosmic
so
Alliance.
They're a little pricier. Whereas with this cycle, we got a lot more affordable Alliance cards, which feels way better. They feel very playable and much more fun because it makes it possible for, if you're like one of the examples, Serve and Protect, which lets you exhaust an X-Men and a X-Force, correct?
Mm-hmm.
To prevent all damage, right?
All damage. No, it prevents all threat placed on the scheme.
All threat, right.
And then they each get a tough card.
Which
is crazy good.
Very strong.
Yeah, it's a really good card.
And also means that if you're in a multiplayer game and you're going to threat out on your turn because you had to flip down, it means that you don't even have to protect yourself. Even if you have it in your hand, you can play it and you can have somebody else pay for it for you if you really need that threat and also can't sacrifice your cards.
And 2 feels doable.
Really hurt them. And if you're playing a 4-player game, that means 2 people discard 1 card. That's like an encounter card, but you get a good effect.
Yes.
That's not unreasonable.
No. The ones that cost 4 also just are very difficult to pull off in solo play. There's more strong solo
combos than cards. They're just it's like a deck you build around where you're trying to get this combo. You set up your X-Men, your Guardian, or your Avenger and your Guardian, and you're doing this whole thing where the Justice one thwarts off every scheme equal to their combined thwart, which is a good effect. That's pretty good. But it's just a lot of setup to get there.
It's your whole turn.
And it's the kind of card that other people don't really want to pay for. I mean, they kind of do, but you're just kind of doing your thing. You don't really want to make them pay for your stuff. Whereas these cards are cheap, so you can get them to help you out.
Yeah. Guardians don't have resource generators.
Yes.
Except for Nebula, she has one. But the rest of them don't have a resource generator really.
And they don't have any resource generators in the aspect cards either. They don't really have anything there. And they also can't use the other ones that exist. Or they can now because it builds support. But at the time, they couldn't use Quinn Carrier, and they couldn't use all the other stuff. Rocket can get the Genius one after Ironheart came out.
And I don't think they are traded as so as one is not traded as an attack, I don't think. So I don't think you can pay for it with martial prowess even.
I mean, let's look that up.
See, as one, it is traded as an attack.
Okay, I think
I stand corrected. I'm pretty sure the defense one does not.
I think the defense one specifically doesn't. It just prevents all the damage you would have taken and does it back, which is, again, a cool effect. But
it's very situational, though. For 4 costs, it has to be a lot of damage. And
the thing with protection cards is protection cards feel like they feel bad to play sometimes. Like if I have that card and I'm saving up and I have my setup and I have my X-Men, I have my Guardian, or my Avenger, my Guardian. I have it all set up and I'm ready. And then I get attack for 2 plus a boost. I flip it, no boost. I'm like, well, do I really want to pay 4 resources and exhaust 2 characters, do 2 damage back?
No.
It feels kind of bad.
Yeah.
But it can be nice sometimes when you're fighting like Ronin, and it's like, okay, I'm going to get hit for 9. That's a fun little swing.
It feels like a tech card against Ronin or Thanos or one of those where you're like,
War
okay.
card, you're always going to want to remove threat off every scheme. That's always useful. Sometimes there's only the main scheme, though, and it's like, wow.
Not worth it.
That's kind of not worth it either.
Because you're also exhausting. So, like, you would then
you are paying a price.
You would have to be removing more than you could just remove, right, with those characters.
Which is the idea, right? That
right.
You have, if there's more than one scheme in play, you can double it and then triple and then scales up, which is cool. But these ones are, if I'm not mistaken, they are 1, 2, 1, and 1 cost.
Yeah, very cheap.
I'm looking down the list that we have here. First one is Mutant Mayhem, which is the leadership one.
Yep.
That one I don't actually know what it does.
That one you spend 2.
I've never played Jubilee.
And it puts an X-Men and an X-Force back into your hand, and then into their owner's hands, and then you play them for free, ignoring their resource costs.
Oh, so you just pick them up, put them back down again.
It's crazy. So for cards like Beast, you
and
pick
you
him up, drop
them?
him down. You don't exhaust anything. You just choose an X-Force ally and an X-Men ally, put them in their owner's hands, and play them. That's ignoring the resource costs.
Really
it costs
good.
3.
Okay, it costs 3.
So 3 cost, and it lets you do that. So, anything that has interplay effect. So I built a deck with Star-Lord using this because Star-Lord makes this card free, right? He takes an encounter card, and then things like Beast come back out, or anything that
get a resource card.
X-23
Kid
or
Omega.
Cable, both of them, like once you've used them a couple times and they're damaged, you pick them back up, play them back out.
Points.
Refreshes hit points.
So you want those big attack, big effect people with the big enters and the big, like Captain Marvel or something like that.
She's not an X-Force or X-Men, right? But yeah.
Oh, right. But something like that, like a Captain Marvel where you can pick her up and slam her back down.
Caliban is a good target because he comes in and then you discard 2, get another ally into your hand. Beast pulls a resource, so when you pick up those 2, often the resource Beast pulls can pull for that extra, so you can get the third ally out. Like
very neat.
It's really, really cool.
The next one after that is Serve and Protect, which is the protection one we talked about.
Talked about that one. 2 costs.
Guards, so it's a way of protection to block threat and also get tough cards. Very strong. Very good.
Yes.
And then we have Combined Forces, which is the aggression one. That
is
one
a 1 cost, and you exhaust an X-Force character and an X-Men character and defeat a non-elite minion.
Defeat a non-elite minion, which is an effect that we have talked about on this podcast at length as not being that good. However, if it's only 1 cost, it's a lot better.
Well, and exhausting characters.
And exhausting 2 characters. We've talked about Nova Prime. That was episode 12 or something. That was a long time ago. But we talked at length about how Nova Prime isn't super exciting because it's a lot of cost to pay for not a huge payoff. Paying 1 and exhausting 2 characters for a non-elite minion isn't always going to be good, but is useful in times. There's some of those minions that aren't elite, like we played a game not too long ago where we realized that Strife, the Cable Nemesis ally, is not elite. And I happened to be playing Magneto at the time, so I just locked him up in metal, and he never got to play the game.
That was the end of it.
So
he came out like the first or second turn.
Some edge cases like that, where those minions that you would expect to be elite, you just read them again, you're like, oh, that one actually doesn't qualify, and you can just kill him in 1 shot.
In aggression, often there could be an enemy that's not elite. It's not particularly tough, but it could have guard, and it could have toughness, for example.
Getting in your way for something.
And then, you have to hit it once, or break the tough card, hit it again to kill it, and that may waste all of your big damage.
If you're playing like a Thor deck, or a similar type build of a minion style, tough allies can really screw you up because it kind of messes with your math.
Yeah,
ruins your whole thing. If you're doing like a what's the card? The 2 cost one that discards to get more aggression cards.
Oh, you mean the dang it, what's it called?
What is that on? Oh, why am I forgetting? It's like
it goes with Hone Technique really well.
It goes to Hone Technique.
I know what you're talking about. It's it has Spider UK on it.
Yeah.
Punch in, right? I will think of it. But yes, that one.
That one. That, if you're doing that, it can really mess up your math. The
no
quarter.
Card.
No quarter. Oh, my God. How can I call myself an aggression player? I'm sorry to all you fans out there.
I know.
It is that's really good combo. Tough cards really screw your math up. If you're playing Rocket or something, that'll really mess with your stuff. It's nice to have. But there are some of these cards that are just good all the time, like the final one, Gunboat Diplomacy.
Gunboat Diplomacy, I think, is the star of this set. And
it is a
we should say,
one-cost event.
It's a one-cost
that
event.
is exhaust an X-Men and X-Force ally, and you thwart equal to their combined attack, or combined thwart, and then attack equal to their combined thwart, and you can split them both however you want to. So you get to remove threat and deal damage equal to their combined thwart of those two characters, and then split it however you like, which is really good.
And it's not an ally. It's an X-Force character and X-Men characters. It can also be your hero if you want to.
Hero.
Generally, they have more thwart. And you remove X threat from schemes in play and deal X damage among enemies in play, where X is the combined thwart. That's crazy good. Something
Really
like Mission
good.
Training, which is an X-Men upgrade, it gives it extra thwart and hit points, helps there.
And then if you're playing a hero like Magneto, who can easily get 3 and a ready. Yeah. So if you, or Magic, who can also get 3, then you can have 3 plus an ally who's maybe 2, and then throw an upgrade on them. That's 6. It means you can reliably get 1 cost for 6 attack and 6 damage.
Yeah.
So if
you can ping it tough, you can put one here, put one there. It's so good.
If you count that you're losing out on the 6th thwart, it's technically just 1 cost for 6 thwart for that you would already have had, and 6 damage on top of that. But 1 cost for 6 damage is still really good, and it lets you split the thwart and the damage, and it saves the health on that ally.
Yeah,
it's
so good.
Really strong.
It is traded as an attack and a thwart, we should say. So Confuse and Stun do get in the way of this.
Gets in the way of this, but also that means that if you have little things like Float Like a Butterfly, or any kind of thing that triggers on attacks. If you're playing a Spider-Woman deck for some reason, you're doing all kinds of weird X-Men stuff, you can do the, not Hone Technique, but Warrior Skill to add damage to it.
Yep.
So it's really, really good. And
yeah, it's really good.
It's like build around good and quite fun. I read this card at first, and I thought it said thwart equal to thwart and damage equal to attack. It's all equal to thwart.
It's all equal to thwart.
So
yeah,
I was doing that wrong.
No, it's a really good card. I think that card has gotten a ton of play in decks on Marvel CDB. It seems to be the standout star card of this wave, to be honest.
It's really solid.
And we're going to talk about cards later, so we may get into some of these. You may hear more about them. But
we may.
That's kind of what I want to talk about, those 3 main themes that I noticed.
And we know this is all cool. This is all great. But let's get into the important stuff. What we like to talk about. The villains.
Ooh, okay.
Bad guys.
Take it away.
We're always talking about these heroes, all the cool stuff they're doing. But who's pushing the plot? Who's moving the story? Who are we fighting? Why are we here?
Yeah.
So as far as villains go for this set, we had one big box, which was the Age of Apocalypse.
Yes.
So that had Unus, the Horseman, Apocalypse, Dark Beast, and En Sabanur, or Apocalypse 2, for all those in the know. So Unus had the Infinites and Dystopian Nightmare set. So the Dystopian Nightmare is the one that's all the mutants. It's the mutants getting hunted. It has the one of like War Weary that exhausts you. It's a lot of just like negative effects, discarding, exhausting. Infinites is, you won't believe this, not infinite, but a large group of small allies who then are boosted by the effect of that side scheme that they have, so they can get stronger. The Four Horsemen.
Well, hold on. Before you go to the Four Horsemen, let me just talk about Unus real quick. I just want to mention, he had something I really liked, which is he has this main scheme called Hunting Gene Traders, and then his kind of, what he does is based off of how much threat is on there, which is not something I've seen before, but I think is really cool in this game, right? So he, based on how much is there, he may gain Retaliate, he may gain Stalwart, he may gain an Amplify icon. Which is really cool. And then, of course, he gains all of them. So if he has 9 thwart, he gains an Amplify icon and Stalwart and Retaliate.
Gain that. So they gain like Quick Strike and +1 attack and like a Crisis icon or something. I forget exactly what it is. But it's some negative effect based on how much threat is on their side scheme. So you have a couple schemes you're trying to thwart down because you have to not lose the game, but also because I believe he's based on the side scheme too. So you have to split your threat right and make sure you're not getting, because Retaliate's nasty on the villain.
Retaliate's nasty.
That's pretty bad.
And he has two side schemes that are called Endless Ranks that add an acceleration icon, and then when defeated, you put 3 threat on Gene Pool. So you have to balance clearing that, but also not clearing it means it's accelerating. So overall, I think he's a little on the easy side. I don't think he's incredibly difficult, but I do think it's a fun thing to kind of play with how the side scheme or the main scheme interacts with him and stuff. So I just wanted to say that before we go to the Horsemen.
The Horsemen have Dystopian Nightmare, same one, all the tough, the exhausting and all that. And then the Hounds, which are another set of lots of little enemies. I believe they all have Surge.
Surge or Quick Strike, I don't remember.
One of the two. But they're like 2 health, 1/1s. There's like 4 or 5 of them. And then there's a big guy who leads them who pulls more in and that style. Sort of like Black Tom Cassidy, but different flavor. And then that one was another multi-villain scenario.
Yes.
And I would say the best to date. That one's really good.
Yeah, I mean, I think it has War, Famine, Pestilence, and Death. And those are his four horsemen. And I'm not familiar with the story, so if you are, you probably already know that. But
I just know that's like the biblical like 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. And obviously his name's Apocalypse. So they are
so we've had hold on, just multi-villain scenario real quick, I'm gonna jump in. We've had the this one, we had the Sinister Six.
And the Wrecking Crew.
And with the Wrecking Crew. Do you have another one in there somewhere?
There's the 2 villain scenario from the Thanos box. Corvus and Proxima. I don't know if that's technically is multi-villain, but it's not the 4 villain. Usually there's at least
we also had the Mansion
villains.
Attack.
True, which is multi-villain in a different way.
Yeah, they each come in play. They don't start
rather than kind of attack them all at once.
That's much more like On the Run, which is from the Wave 7, where they have different enemies coming in and out.
I like that one, but it's a different vibe. This one is much more like Sinister Six and Wrecking Crew. I think for sure the best of the 3. Sinister Six suffered from a power problem. It wasn't that hard because they didn't really have that much health. This one is a lot more balanced and also pretty tricky. So all the 4 of the Horsemen have their nasty ability based on the theming of what they are. And then they do something bad based on if they have hit points or not.
Yes.
So they can't be defeated until you defeat all of them. But if they have 0 health, they can't trigger their attack ability.
Correct.
So like War discards your upgrades and your supports, and Death hurts all your characters, and Pestilence, I think, is the one that blanks you, and then Famine makes you discard your deck. Or 10 cards.
Yeah. So they have nasty effects. So you want to balance like when you kill them, which order you kill them in, and then there's cards that can come out that can give them extra hit points,
give them more
right?
Hit points
because they're the only triggers if they have at least 1 hit point.
Yes.
Like their additional stuff. So
and then you have to defeat them all, which means you're chewing through a lot of hit points of enemies. Yeah. Do they have scalable hit points?
They do. They're per player.
It's like 11 or 10 something.
They'll have 12, I think. Pestilence and Death have 12. Famine and War, or Famine and Pestilence have 9. War and Death have 12.
Okay, so they have variable hit points, but it's about 20-ish. So you're fighting through like 80 hit points of characters in a 2-player game, 40 in a single-player game, which is a considerable number of hit points to eat through. A lot more than your average villain will have.
They all have 9 in Standard. They all have 12 in Expert.
Oh,
Sorry,
that's
correct for the listeners.
So also fun to make them a little trickier than Expert. So an Expert with a single player, you're fighting through 48 hit points of villains.
That's a lot. Yeah.
And they're all nasty. They have encounter cards that are cool. They all have a horse. Each of them has a horse that they can get attached to them, which gives them bonuses, which is, thematic and fun.
I'm here for it.
They all look the same except for Death, who is, of course, Archangel with his metal wings, which is also kind of cool. I will say my only complaint with it is that some of the effects feel a lot worse than others. Specifically War. Discarding upgrades and supports is kind of just one of the nastier things villains can do, and War is really bad. So you kind of just want to kill him first all the time.
I think that's unavoidable to some degree, right? I think some of the Sinister Six are just worse.
Yeah, right? I think that's kind of thematic too.
Yeah.
Like War being the one that you fight first is kind of what War is, right? He takes all the hits while Pestilence and Famine kind of sneakily deal a lot of damage to you and hurt you in ways that you don't see as obviously.
Mhm.
And then Death kind of just does his thing. So maybe that's just expert theming from the design team that we didn't see. But all in all, a very strong scenario.
Yeah, very strong.
Then we had Beast, or Dark Beast, I should say.
No, then we have Apocalypse.
Oh, right, Apocalypse. Apocalypse, which was Apocalypse 1, I was thinking of in Sabanur, who comes with Infinites, the encounter set, and then Dark Riders, which I believe is just the Horsemen as an encounter set. That one's a lot like Hela, if I remember correctly. I haven't played it in a while, but it's like you have to beat a side scheme, then a minion, then a side scheme, then a minion, then a side scheme, then a minion.
It feels very story-driven, kind of like Magneto and Hela as well, where you have to like progress through and defeating
like pushing through
more.
his capital city, right? His empire to get to him and defeat him. That one was cool. I like that one.
This one a lot. Yeah.
I like the design of Apocalypse, just like art-wise, like the way he looks. And I am a big fan of Hela. I've said that on the podcast I think before. I think that kind of scenario is fun because it forces you to have a deck that can do everything, which I am a big proponent of. I like doing that. And obviously my decks, we all know, lean a little more towards damage, and it forces me to not just smack the villain harder, and makes me really think about it.
You just have to progress through. So
you can't
I like
kill
that.
him.
Then we get to Dark Beast. He's the next one.
Dark Beast is the one after that. That one has a couple different encounter sets because it has Dystopian Nightmare, which we've talked about, and then it has the 3 location-based ones because you're jumping through time in this one, right? Or you're jumping through portals, jumping through time. And so there's the Blue Moon, Genosha, and the Savage Land, which are sort of 3 places in time that you're flying through. Genosha, I believe, is like the far future. It's like a cyberpunk kind of city. It's themed around like mutants being hunted down for their mutantness as usual. And then the Savage Land is like prehistoric dinosaurs and stuff. And then the moon is now, but it's on the moon, so it's fancy.
Yeah, this one is cool. I like, so each of those sets you mentioned have an environment card, and then they have cards that go with it. So when it comes into play, the environment discards a previous environment, and that one comes into play, and he is all about shuffling them in at different parts. So the 3 of them start out of play, and you shuffle them in at different points.
And they also have abilities that trigger when you play them, and then he has lots of things that re-trigger the abilities.
Yes.
So I think the Savage Land one is like discard the top 3 or 4 cards of your deck, and then it's not that bad, but it keeps happening, so you're really going through your deck pretty fast, and I think Genosha does damage to you or something like that. So it's a fun little scenario. I'm always a fan of an environment in a scenario pack. It makes it a little feel more different. It makes it feel more thematic, because it's not just like cards you're pulling out of a deck that's like random chance. It's like you're always being affected by this scenario that's in play, which is always fun to have.
Yeah, I like that one a lot. I think it's a fun scenario. Another good one. And then we have
Sabanur.
Yes.
Your classic villain 5, your big hitter, your big monster.
Many people call him Apocalypse 2, like you said.
Many people call him Apocalypse 2 because it is the same. It is also Apocalypse. Don't want to spoil that, but it's the same villain, just in a different name and different counter sets. He's got Clan Akaba, which is a teamwork based sort of elite minion kind of encounter set, sort of like the Sinister Six. That's one we've seen before. He has also Celestial Tech, which is upgrades that are all pretty powerful. They go on him. And this one's notable because it is our first triple-sided villain. So like Ant-Man and Wasp from all those cycles ago, he's got
an Angel.
He's got this regular side. He's got his second side, and then he's got his giant super Apocalypse side. And like Ant-Man and Wasp, he's flipping between them a lot. So his cards are flipping between his things. And I believe he also has a reveal effect like Ant-Man.
Yeah, he has a forced response every time he changes forms. So
he's got a thwart version.
He feels like Ant-Man.
An attack version. And then he's got Super Apocalypse, who's like, does both. And he's got all kinds of, he heals himself, I think, when he flips that. He's very cool. He hits very hard. He's tricky. He does a lot of damage, and his upgrades are pretty nasty.
And he cycles his 3 forms. He cycles between Retaliate, Overkill, and Stalwart. So he just like
also is very notable. Stalwart is annoying to have sometimes.
Yes,
because you'll try and stun him, and then he'll flip to it, and then he'll lose the stun.
And you can't predict when he's going to flip, so you don't know.
Those are all actually, I would say, the 3 worst keywords for the villain to have. Retaliate sucks. Overkill sucks, and Stalwart is kind of not super fun.
Yeah, I think toughness is bad too. There's not a
But it
ton of
only
piercing
happens
out there,
once.
but
If
yeah,
one of
I
these
agree.
had toughness, it'd be nasty because he'd keep getting it.
Yeah.
But I like Ensabunur. He's cool. He's like I said, the classic kind of Thanos Ronin type of just like hits you big, real strong, lots of health. But it's fun. It's a different take on it, and the three-sided villain is very neat.
Yeah. No, I think this is a fun one. I think these are all solid. I think the one I play the least is Unis, just because it is a little on the easier side. But I really like the creative forces of each of these scenarios.
Mm-hmm.
With a multi-villain scenario, I feel like I don't know if it's perfected, but I feel like it's getting better each time.
Definitely iterating itself, which is cool, and you can see it getting better. And yeah, I like it.
Yeah, I think these are all really solid. So we're not going to pick a favorite of this group, but I just wanted to talk through them all.
I'll leave that up to you.
They're really
Let us know
good.
your favorite in the comments.
Yeah, let us know your favorite in the comments, or email me, winninghandpodcast@gmail.com, or put a comment down below. Which one did you like the best? Which of these scenarios do you find yourself playing the most? Which one was the most fun? So tell me. I'm curious.
In the same token as our villains, there's also been a couple mod sets. They started doing this, I believe, at the start of the X-Men waves, where they started putting encounter sets into the hero packs.
I don't remember when they started that. I think it was before that. I think the Spider Cycle had some of those too.
Oh, yeah, they did. So a little while ago. It was around the Mojo time, a little bit before Mojo. So something there. But they started doing encounter sets in hero packs.
Mm-hmm.
So we got 5 this time, including the one that came in the big box, which was Standard 3, which is big fan of Standard 3.
Standard 3 is awesome, and I think Standard 3 has been a huge hit with the community. I think I've heard from a lot of people who say this either directly replaces Standard 1 or, at least it's like a 50-50 for them. I don't think I use it quite that much, but I do quite like it as a change of pace.
And it fills a different niche than Standard 2, where Standard 2 is just harder.
Yes.
It's just the same cards, but worse. Standard 3 is more interesting. It's just a different way to play. It's more about getting your nemesis minion out.
Often.
It's all about pulling your nemesis. And the cards are a little nastier, but they're not like all have surge and overkill like Standard 2 does. Standard 2 can feel kind of oppressive if you play it with the wrong villains.
Yeah.
Especially if you combine it with Expert 2. If you play those two combined with any villain who has a little bit of natural surge, you end up with 10 or 20 encounter sets a turn.
Yeah.
Encounter cards a turn, which can feel kind of rough if you're not ready for that.
100%.
I know a lot of people, when the Hood came out with those two sets, tried him with the new sets and were whiplashed pretty fast by the amount of surge in that.
Yeah.
I know that is kind of legendarily, at least in my group, a difficult. Like Hood on Expert 2 is famously very, not even just hard, but just brutal in how many cards you get to see.
Yeah,
he's playing more cards than you are every turn, which gets rough pretty fast.
Yeah, I think, one of the complaints that the community had early was that these nemesis are cool, but many times you don't see them. There's a lot of games that go by playing Standard where they just don't come out. Shadows of the Past comes out as a boost card or just gets discarded or whatever, and you just don't see them.
By some card you have, because it is bad. You don't want to see it.
Right. That's the only avenue that they had for entering the game, though. So I like that this gives you a more likely chance of hitting them because they're fun. So.
And Expert 2 has a card that does that. But again, Expert 2 is so hard that a lot of people don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So it kind of felt like it was cool, but it wasn't as interesting. Whereas Standard 3 is just like, it doesn't up the power too much, and it just lets you see your nemesis a lot more, which is fun and also more thematic.
It's cool.
And then for the hero packs, we had Sauron in Iceman, Arcade in Jubilee, the Crazy Gang with Nightcrawler, and Hellfire in Magneto.
So we are going to pick some favorites here. So what do you want to go first?
Now we're getting into the favorites part of this.
Yeah.
We're going for all our picks. I'll go first.
All right.
Of the 4, the non-standard 3, I went with Sauron. For a couple reasons. I really like encounter sets that are self-contained and also interact with themselves a lot. So Sauron himself pulls out a side scheme, which pulls out another card. So whenever you're pulling out a card in that chain, you're going to end up getting the last card, which I forget exactly what it does, but I believe that's the one that It's the Drain Life, which is it attaches to a minion and it makes it attack you, and then it heals it for 2 and gives it a tough card, which is pretty nasty. And then Sauron, the character in the Sauron pack, finds the side scheme, and the side scheme pulls Life Drain. So it all pulls itself out of the encounter set, which is fun, which means you're seeing the cards more. It's more thematic, and it also gives it kind of pseudo Surge, but it's worse than Surge sometimes because you know what you're getting, and it's not a very nice card. And then the other 3 cards are just kind of generic encounter set, nasty, but they are like pretty mean. They make you discard the top 2 cards of your deck, 3 if Sauron's in play, and then you have to do various bad effects based on the resources you discard. So like exhausting, discarding, taking damage, adding threat for the symbols. And then also dinosaurs are cool. And Sauron's whole thing is that he's trying to make people into dinosaurs.
Is that his thing thematically? I don't know.
That is his thing. I know that
Okay.
about him. He's a crazy scientist who's trying to make everybody dinosaurs because he thinks it's like peak evolution.
Kind of sounds like Man-Bat from the DC
kind of like
universe. Is that right?
Man-Bat. And also, for all you Lord of the Rings fans out there, the card that discards cards is called the Eye of Sauron. So
I see what they did there.
they know what they're doing.
Sauron is not one that I love, so I actually picked a different one for my favorite. I picked the Hellfire set.
Oh, yeah.
I think the Hellfire set is awesome. It is the most recent one, so maybe there's some recency bias here, but I think it's a 5-card set built around, I guess Hellfire is a thematic thing in X-Men. I don't really know, but it centers on this guy, Sebastian Shaw. He's like, I guess, the main leader of them. He's a 5 hit point minion who comes in with toughness and villainous, and he has a really interesting force response, which is that after he is attacked, you give him a face down boost card, and he can't be attacked again this phase.
And I believe he also has toughness.
He does have toughness, yeah.
So he starts with a tough card, and you can only attack him once per phase.
Once per phase, yep. So
which
I
is
think
nasty.
Yeah, maybe that
And
lends
you give him
itself
another boost
to
card, which means he's double boosting. He has 1 of each.
Yes.
So he's potentially hitting you for probably
He's a
on average
1-2.
4 or 5. 2.
Yeah.
So for 2
1-2.
attack, he's hitting you for 4 or 5 on an attack with 2 boost cards. It's pretty nasty.
It's only once per phase, so he's susceptible to like change of fortune stuff. If you try to kill him on his turn, you could get a second attack in. But I really love that. Again, I can't speak to the thematics of what that means for his power set or what he does in the comics, but I think that's really cool that you're limited and you really have to try to figure out how to get through that toughness and how to take care of him because he's a problem. He also has 3 boost icons if he comes out as a boost card.
Wolverine loves Sebastian Shaw. He loves to just slice him down in one shot.
But he's 5 hit points, so it's not
Even
super
then,
easy to take care
it
of.
does feel cool. If you get to be Wolverine, you get to one-shot Sebastian Shaw, that feels fun, right? Wolverine's good at what he does.
Yeah.
He's the best at what he does.
Yeah, he is what I've heard. And he has to use, his whole attack on that instead of on the villain. Also, the other 2, I think, minions that come in the set. One is called Selene. It was a 1/1 minion with 4 hit points. Has quick strike and villainous also. And says
Nasty
allies cannot attack Selene, which is really cool. So just like getting around the ally power that's in the game, I think that's a really cool thing I've not seen.
Quick strike and villainous is a nasty combo too.
Quick strike and villainous is nasty.
That's mean.
Yeah.
And I know Vulture has that from the Sinister Six, and he feels like one of the worst ones because it's nothing you can do about it. Villainous minions, normally you can just kill them and sort of get around that, but both of these have ways to basically make that
That's a rough,
much harder.
That's a rough combo. Also, she has a boost ability instead of icons that says discard an ally you control, which is again,
I like that. I'm a fan.
The last minion is a Hellfire Pawn, who's a 1 scheme, 2 attack, 3 hit point minion, and has
Just
guard,
keyword
control,
soup.
and surge. That's just great. Can't attack the villain, can't thwart the main scheme, also surges. And the boost ability is you put the Hellfire Pawn into play engaged with you. So
That's
if he draws a
from
boost
one
card,
of
it still
the
comes
Nemesis
out.
sets, right? Emma Frost Nemesis set. I think that's for Kitty Pryde. Because I reckon the Hellfire Pawn is in a Nemesis set.
Oh,
that
I don't know.
has Emma Frost, and there's I think 2 of them. Because I know I've seen the boost icon come into play. Guard
Let me know
Patrol
down below.
Surge, 1/2, 2 health guys, 3 health.
And then
they're nasty.
it has a side scheme, which is pretty standard. But then it has a treachery card, which is power and decadence. And I love this because when revealed, you give the villain a tough status card, and you give this card to the villain as a face-down boost card. And has a boost ability that says after this activation, the attacking enemy activates against you again, and you don't give a boost card for that activation. So it's just guaranteeing you another attack.
Double threat there.
And gives them tough. So that's just really cool. I think this is a really tricky set. It's really interesting mechanically. And for me, easily my favorite of the year. So
that power and decadence feels like the kind of ability that would be in a villain set, but as an encounter set, it's fun because it means you can combine it with other stuff. Yeah, that can get real nasty if you're fighting one of those big attack guys, Juggernaut, Thanos, one of those ones that can hit you for a lot even without a boost card. Especially Thanos because that triggers another stone. That means you're getting another stone, which throws off your math on who's getting stones and when.
100%.
That's a real nasty set.
Yeah, I like that one. Listeners, viewers, what is your favorite Nemesis set of the year? Or, excuse me, mod set of the year? What's your favorite modular set that we got this year of those? Or even of the ones we mentioned with the scenarios? Let me know. What'd you like the most? I'm curious to hear what people like. And of the two we picked, did you like those? Do you play them? Do you not like them? I'm curious to hear what people think. So now I want to go through our favorite aspect cards of the year, and then the cherry on the top of this episode is going to be our favorite heroes of the year. So first we're going to go through our favorite aspect cards this year. We're going to go through each aspect, including basic, and talk about each of us have a favorite. We'll just give kind of a quick synopsis of the card, why we like it, and then move on. I don't want this to drag too much. So I'm going to go ahead and say we're going to start with the pool aspect. And we're starting with the pool aspect because the pool aspect got exactly 0 cards this year. So
wow, better luck last year.
Yeah, pool was 2023.
That happened. Wow, okay.
Yeah, it makes you feel old, huh? Pool's already a year old.
I thought pool was like a brand new thing.
Well, yeah. Kind of is, I guess, in the grand scheme of things. But I want more pool. So designers, if you're listening, I know you are, Tony, let me know, man. When are we getting more pool stuff? Because the pool aspect has really grown on me. It just really feels kind of shallow. The pool is shallow. See what I did there? But that's just because it doesn't have a ton of cards. There's not much you can do with it. It feels kind of samey at the end of the day. Okay, so let's start with your favorite. We're going to go alphabetically. So we'll start with your favorite aspect, LazyTitan, and I'm going to let you go first. The aggression aspect, what was your favorite aggression card of the year?
With the best of the best. The star of the show.
Bang.
Top billing on the card. What everybody's here to see. Aggression. They're not a ton of cards that I was super intrigued with this year. It was a lot of the stuff that was based on the upgrades and attacking that way. As we all know, I like big numbers. I like classic damage. Nothing does that better this year than our good old-fashioned full-body charge.
Ooh.
Big number in the top left, big number in the text box. It does what I want. It combines with hone technique, as everything does. For that extra juicy 12 damage for 4, feels real nice. That is above the curve, I believe, if we do our math on that. Potentially with overkill, based on what your hit points are at, which is also, I think, a fun mechanic, and why I chose this card secondarily. Obviously, I like it because it has big numbers, and I like doing that. But it also kind of hints at a more like risk-based aggression playstyle, which I like a lot. The being at half health to trigger something is a part of that aspect that I would like to see more and think is really interesting. I think this year did a lot of ways to add like extra ways to play an aspect, and a lot of that was based on upgrades because that was a lot of what X-Men did. But I think that's my thing I'm looking forward to the most for aggression, is hoping they lean more into that idea of sort of risk and reward, right? I want aggression to have more of an identity than just big number. While that is fun, I would like it to have some kind of aspect identity, and I think this is a good step in that direction.
Yeah, I think we should say for the listeners, this is a 4-cost event. It's an attack, and it deals 8 damage to an enemy. If your hero's remaining hit points are less than half your hero's starting hit points, the attack gains overkill. So that's what LazyTitan was talking about. Potentially you can pair it with hone technique and make it 4 for 12, which is an insane amount of attack. and you can potentially have overkill, but even without that, it's just really, really big numbers.
Big numbers, which we like.
It's a good call. I think you mentioned a big thing in this wave was the kind of upgrades on enemies archetype, and we saw that with some of the protection cards, Change of Fortune and stuff like that. We'll get to protection later. But a bunch of it came in this set too, and for me, that was the standout aggression card, and I'm going to pick a card called Take That, just because it kind of, for me, represents that archetype. So Take That, I should say, is a 3-cost event. It's an attack, hero action, deal 7 damage to an enemy with an upgrade attached. So it's very simple. We actually talked about this card, did a whole episode on it back in episode 46 of the podcast. So if you're interested to hear more of my thoughts on Take That with a special guest, Andy R., please go listen to that. But just to kind of recap briefly here, it's because it represents a whole archetype. And I think that's really cool. I don't think it's fully fleshed out. I don't think the idea is completely realized yet. It doesn't always work, but I love the idea of slapping upgrades down, right? Cyclops really kind of put this... It existed before then, I think, but Cyclops really hit it hard where you're like dropping things down. And I like this. Certain heroes love Take That. I love playing it with Rogue, for example, because she can guarantee putting an upgrade out. Valkyrie's another one that can guarantee putting an upgrade out. Iceman, who this pack came in.
Valkyrie's a good call, actually.
Nightcrawler. Yeah, Valkyrie's great with this because you just have Death Touch.
There's also Death Touched. There's the upgrade from aggression that puts overkill on an enemy, all attacks against an enemy. So you can put marked on somebody and then hit them for the 6 it is, right? 6?
7. 3 for 7 with overkill
10.
Marked.
So then
Hone Technique makes it 10.
Obviously, we're playing aggression, so we're talking about Hone Technique.
Always with you.
10 damage with overkill. Not just with me. It's the best card. We all know it.
So that's kind of, I think there's a lot of other things that came in this archetype, like Surprise Move came with it too, but there's a bunch of different stuff. Suppressing Fire is a cool attachment as well. Gatekeeper, there's a lot of fun things, and I wouldn't want them to develop this more, but for me, Take That kind of represents the whole archetype. That's why I picked that card. Let's move on to the basic. So not exactly an aspect, actually technically not an aspect at all, but I'm going to include it here. What did you pick for the best basic, the favorite basic card of the year?
Here's the thing. I think we say it at the same time. Like we count down, we say our picks, and then we give our reasoning.
Love it.
All right, 3, 2, 1. Face the
past.
There you go. It is objectively, I think, the coolest and most interesting card in the aspect. Basic is kind of a lot of cards that are just kind of usually generically good. Sometimes they're really good, like Basic Spell, but a lot of it's just, it does thwart, it does damage. It's worse than the aspects that want to do that, but if you need it in your aspect, you get it. Face the Past is really cool. For those that don't know what Face the Past does,
explain it.
It is a 0-cost event that lets you max 1 per deck, and it lets you search the encounter deck discard pile and set aside areas for your Nemesis minion, and then put it into play to draw 3 cards.
And then you ready your hero and draw 3 cards, and you can attack the villain this phase and remove the card from the game.
Lots of heroes that goes really well for. Lots of heroes that does not go super well for. If you're playing Dark Phoenix, you probably don't. Or if you're playing Phoenix, you probably don't want to go find Dark Phoenix because she's pretty nasty. But if you're playing someone like Thor, this is potentially ready yourself, draw 5 cards, and get a not super bad minion.
Insane.
Loki is not that bad.
No.
He's pretty easy to deal with. A lot of those Nemesis minions aren't that bad. And also, it's just a really cool idea.
Yeah.
We talked about how Standard 3 brings out your Nemesis set, and that's fun. This is a way that you get to bring out your Nemesis minion, and you get a benefit out of it. So you get to draw your card.
For
Drax
me, that's
loves this.
The biggest thing. Like, it's just that this is such a unique card.
It's so cool.
I don't know who saw this card coming. I don't think anybody saw this card coming. It's a fun design. It removes itself from your deck or from the game after it's played. It's a one-time play. I really would love to see more of that. That's super interesting to me. Get more cards that remove themselves from the game. I think Go for Champions was errata to be removed, but that's the only other player card that gets removed like that. So I'd love to see more of that. I think you said most of what I was going to say. Super fun. Thor, obviously, it's amazing. But there's certain ones you don't play it. Obviously, you don't play it with Valkyrie. You don't play it with Phoenix. There's a few minions that are just not worth it. But for some of those other ones, it's great.
Or does it put them into play?
What's that?
Does it reveal the minions, or does it put them into play?
You reveal the minion.
Okay. So then, Valkyrie does not want that. Valkyrie's Nemesis minion is pretty bad for her.
One of the worst.
But there's a lot of ones out there that you can use this for. Rocket probably doesn't mind it. Because you get another minion
quick
to kill.
strike, but not terrible.
There's and that just the idea of thinking of all those combinations where you might want to use it is fun on its own.
Mm-hmm.
This is a great card, great idea.
Totally agree.
Shout out to the design team.
All right, so that's basic Justice. Following our alphabetic march through the aspects. Justice, I talked about this card a little bit already, so I'm not going to say much more. I picked Gunboat Diplomacy. I think this is, for me, the standout card in Justice. But we already talked about it earlier in the podcast, so I will move on and say, what did you pick?
I picked Waylay. To everybody's surprise, my favorite yellow card was the one that does a lot of damage.
Love that.
But I think Justice it's something that Justice actually, I think, needed and was lacking, which is just a true big damage card.
Mm-hmm.
It does 4 damage or 7, I believe, if you cleared a scheme.
Yes.
It's in response to thwarting. So after thwarting, you can play Waylay, and if you cleared the scheme that you were thwarting, you get 7 damage. 3 for 7 in Justice is great. That's very good. Some aggression cards don't even get that level of damage. Looking at you, uppercut. So it's nice to have just like a damage option in Justice. One for people like me who will now maybe play Justice because I can actually put numbers out, and for all you people who don't want to play aggression, don't have the guts, can now play Justice in a more honorable way.
Yeah, I think Waylay, it costs a lot to do that damage, but
Cost 3.
It is a 3-cost card. But, in Justice, which is not the damage aspect, I think it's okay to cost a little bit more to get some damage. So
and I think it also fits the playstyle of Justice really well, of clearing everything. There's a lot of Justice games where you clear everything and then you're left with the main scheme, and the only thing left is that 2-threat or that 4-threat that puts on every time depending on your player count. Just that little bit. And so then you can just basic attack to clear it, or basic thwart to clear it. Now that you're playing Justice, now you have a way to just guaranteed clear a scheme every turn and get your Waylay out for a bunch of damage. So it fits the natural play style. It does a good efficient damage. It's just a pretty good card.
Yeah. No arguments there, except I picked a different card.
Yes.
Anyway.
Which is probably
Leadership. Leadership is the next one. I'm going to let you go first on this one, and I'll go second. What did you pick for Leadership?
I think people are going to be a little surprised by my pick here.
Oh?
And it's mostly because I haven't had a chance to play the card that I think people would most obviously attribute to me. But I picked Sidekick.
Ooh.
Which I know, heresy. It's a very ally-focused thing. It's all about allies. However, it's focused on your specific ally, which is, I think, more thematic and more interesting than just bringing along whichever ally says draw a card. So it's more fun than just, oh, I'm going to throw Ironheart under the bus and then Maria Hill's going to die for me. It's like, oh, I'm playing Wolverine, so Jubilee is going to be, she's my sidekick. She's with me. That I'm gonna boost her up. I'm gonna ready her all the time. Or I'm playing X-23. I'll make Honey Badger real cool.
We should read the card first for listeners.
This is true. I'm bad.
It is a 1-cost upgrade sidekick. It has the keyword or the trait title, and it says attached to an identity-specific ally you control, max 1 per deck. Attached ally gets +2 hit points and is your, air quotes, sidekick. Response: after you make a basic recovery, heal 2 damage from the attached ally. So, sorry.
And then
to
there
interrupt
are
you there.
other events that affect the sidekick. There are
Specifically the side-by-side, I think, right?
Yes, side by side, which affects the sidekick. It readies it, and then there's other. But so it heals itself, and then also, or you can heal the sidekick, and then also can boost them with other card effects. Which just means that it's a way to make your specific hero ally more prevalent in your deck, more of like your sidekick than just like a character who shows up. It's like Jubilee for Wolverine, who's quite good, or Honey Badger for X-23, or all these ideas. some people get unlucky because they don't have one, like Magneto or Rocket or Groot. They just don't get them. But for the rest of us, it's cool to have a way to boost up your more signature ally to have cool effects.
Yeah, I think Sidekick is a super cool card. We talked about this card for a full episode back in episode 35. So if you're interested in hearing more, you can go back and either listen to that or watch that. So many episodes ago now, but
it's neat and it's a cool idea.
Yeah,
it's a fun design, cool, and I like encouraging people to play specific allies that are more thematic, and also encouraging them not to just throw them away. That's usually my biggest gripe with allies, is that they're kind of just bullet sponges with draw a card tacked onto it. That's what all the best allies do.
Mm-hmm.
So it's nice to have an ally that you are building around and want to keep around. So,
yeah, I agree. I think it's a cool card. Good choice, LazyTitan. In fact, I liked it so much we talked about it for an episode. The one that I chose is the one, it's pretty recent. It's called Squared Off, which came in the Magneto pack. I think Squared Off is a really fun card, and it has elevated a hero that I hadn't played a whole lot. That is Thor. A lot for me and for others. I'm not the only one. Squared Off is a 0-cost event. It says, hero action, discard cards from the encounter deck until you discard a minion. Put that minion into play engaged with you. And then arrow, play an ally from your hand, reducing its cost by 3. So I made a blue Thor deck with this, and it is one of the decks I had the most fun this year. It's probably my second favorite deck of the year that I played. It's just a ton of fun to play Squared Off, get a minion, draw those cards, and then play an ally for a lot cheaper. So in Thor, it suddenly made Beta Ray Bill a playable ally. Awesome. You know, it reduces his other signature ally, Lady Sif, who's very expensive also, but puts her into play a little bit cheaper. So, and draws you cards. It's just really fun. You know, I've had turns where I play Squared Off and not even have an ally in my hand. I'll just bet that I can draw into one with my 2 cards, and it works out. It's a really fun card. I really love this whole minion fetching stuff that we've expanded beyond Looking for Trouble and Angela. So other aspects now have access to pulling minions out. That's really fun.
Justice is still missing it, but I think
Justice is still missing it. But it has one way or another, which is not the same, but
similar, close, and more probably better for them. I think you mentioned it, but finally we get to play our boy Beta Ray Bill.
Beta Ray Bill, yes, he's so good for Thor. He's just too expensive.
I had, because I knew he was so expensive, I'd kind of locked him, like kind of put him on the side of my head and just like, I'm not going to play Beta Ray Bill because he costs so much. I had been thinking he cost 4. After this card came out, I looked back at Beta Ray Bill. Beta Ray Bill costs 5.
He's a 5-cost ally.
He's so expensive.
Which is into the realm of unplayable.
He's a good ally.
He is good.
2 thwart, 3 attack, right? And he does, every time you kill a minion with him, he thwarts for 2. Which
off
is
the main scheme only.
Off the main scheme. But still, that's really good.
That's really good.
That means he can attack and basically thwart in the same turn by only taking 1 damage. He's got 4 or 5 hit points. He's really solid. And there just wasn't really a way to play him ever. Squared Off is kind of the perfect card, especially in Thor, which is thematic where you want to play Asgard. Beta Ray Bill is the perfect minion for this because it reduces his cost by 3, and you draw 2 cards off of the Thor activation, which means you draw. You get a 5-cost resource reduction, which means you can play Beta Ray Bill basically for free.
Yes, if you have nothing in your hand except for Squared Off and Beta Ray Bill, you can play Squared Off, draw 2 cards, and pay for him.
And that's Beta Ray Bill. And then you get a minion for him to kill and then thwart with.
Yes, it's
Great
so good.
Theme, perfect, fun card, and it just unlocks a new way to play a hero. Blue Thor is cool, and it makes me want to see more Asgard in new aspects.
I never thought Blue Thor would be feasible or even good, and it's really good. It's really fun.
Thor is a sleeper hit of this year, I think.
Yes, agreed.
I think Thor has improved a lot over this year because there's been, obviously, other cards that we'll talk about, but cards that are all about getting out minions and all these cool effects that are really boosting his power. And I think Thor speaks to, I think we've mentioned this before, but great hero design because he scales with the card pool very well. Not a lot of other heroes scale quite like Thor does. Ms. Marvel comes to mind as one of the ones who gets better as the card pool increases. But Thor's original set of cards is very solid. It's very, very good. His only real downside is his 4/5 hand size, and you can get around that. He's great.
I think Thor and, Squared Off and maybe some other cards we'll talk about are a shining example of why the LCD model is so fun, right? We have a Wave 1 hero now from the beginning of the game who is still improving and getting better and has new archetypes and new decks to play 5 years into the game. I think that's awesome. I think Black Widow is going to get a bunch of preparations in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. box. So going back again to another older hero who's going to get a bunch of boosts. That's super fun. It means that older stuff that you bought 5 years ago is still relevant. It's still, out there to be played. I think that's great. All right, so the last aspect that we're going to talk about today, alphabetically, of course, I didn't just save the best for last, but protection is the best aspect, is protection. And I'll go first this time, so I'll let you go last. I picked Come Get Me Bub, which, again, I will not talk about a ton because I did talk about for a whole episode, and not that far long ago, episode 51. I had Villain Theory on as a guest, and we talked about Come Get Me Bub. Come Get Me Bub is an awesome card. It is so fun. It brings a lot of new energy to a ton of older heroes as well. Not just Thor, but also Thor. Also Black Widow, who I mentioned, loves this card. There's a ton of heroes that love this card. Drax
we talk
loves
about Drax
this
a lot
card.
on this podcast because I love him, but he is an older hero who doesn't have a ton of support.
Yeah.
But Drax loves this. Obviously, Protection Drax is one of the more popular ways to play him. It's my favorite way to play him. This fits
pairs
right
very
along
well
with
with Taunt.
Yep.
I have a Drax deck where I play Come Get Me Bub and Taunt, and another new card this year, North Star, who helps you mitigate how much you're getting attacked for by canceling boost icons. I just really love Come Get Me Bub.
Were huge for Drax.
Yes.
It's a cool card. It's fun art. I like the art. I like the Wolverine art. Also good in Wolverine.
This is a great card. So
great card.
Don't sleep
Very
on this.
Solid.
Go back and listen to episode 51 of the podcast if you want to hear more thoughts on this.
My pick for this
What'd you
year.
pick? The last aspect card.
Maybe people were expecting me to say Come Get Me Bub because it is minion focused.
Yeah.
But I picked Change of Fortune.
Ooh.
And
great pick.
Sort of like your pick for take that more sort of the entire archetype of the kill minions on their turn thing. So I was gonna go with Under Control, which is the 0 cost upgrade you put on a minion, and every time somebody, doesn't have to be you, which is notable, defends and doesn't take damage from that minion, it takes 4 damage back. Which is really cool. It doesn't have to be a non-elite minion, which is huge. So it lets you deal some damage to those big minions.
So why don't you read Change of Fortune for us so we know?
Yes, and it triggers Change of Fortune, which is a 1 cost protection upgrade that says player under player's control, max 1 per player. Response: after you defeat an enemy during the villain phase, exhaust this card to draw 2 cards, and it produces a mental resource, and that is from the Nightcrawler pack.
Yeah.
So Change of Fortune is cool. It draws you 2 cards, which is already cool and good. And it's about killing enemies, so not just minions. So there's a couple, once per game, you may get that fun little point where you kill the villain in your protection deck. But it's good it gives you an incentive to keep minions and sort of invite more attack, and it also gives you a huge reward and makes that sort of like big, just like brick protection deck of just block, and eventually you'll get there with Floic Water and stuff. Makes that a lot better, makes it a lot easier to do, and that was already one of my favorite ways to play protection, and I think this just made it even better. This is kind of going to become a mainstay in my protection playstyle of just sort of bunkering up, playing all those upgrades that let you do tons of effects on defending. So all your
electrostatic
armors, your Floic Waters, your Unflappables, your what's the one with Drax on it?
Hard to Ignore.
3 of them, and then you can just defend a couple times a turn, ready yourself, and keep doing all those actions, and you'll have a grip of cards the whole time because you're drawing cards off this, you're drawing cards off of Unflappable, you're drawing cards off your resource card that you play, you're all these things that are getting you all this bonus effect. I think it's really cool. It's a fun archetype, and I think it's really fun to play.
Yeah, good choice. This is a really fun archetype. I totally agree. Okay, so then let's go into the final part. This podcast is going a little bit long, but thanks for sticking with us, listeners. There's a lot to recap this year, so
It's a lot to happen.
the last thing we're going to talk about is our favorite heroes of the year. So we each picked a hero, and I don't know what you picked, and you don't know what I picked, but I will. Do you want to go first or second? I'll let you choose, actually.
I'll go first because it's thematic with what I was just talking about. Because my favorite was Nightcrawler. I know people were expecting me to pick the red hero Iceman because he came red, all the aggression stuff. But protection is my second favorite aspect. I quite enjoy it, and when I play protection, I like to play aggression light, or not light if you're playing Drax. It's actually doing more damage than aggression would. But my second favorite archetype within protection is just the bunker up, deal damage back whenever I defend. Mm-hmm. And I thought Nightcrawler, I had a ton of fun playing him. I played him through the campaign, the Age of Apocalypse campaign. I had a ton of fun playing it. He has built-in readies. He can defend for everyone else. And I played in a 2-player game. And so in a 2-player game, you can pretty consistently defend for every single attack that happens every single turn. And with electrostatic armor and flow like water and all your defense cards and all the cards you're drawing off of all this stuff, you can usually deal 7 to 12, 15 damage back to the villain pretty consistently. You're defending them 3 or 4 times. You're doing damage back with Riposte, which is another new card from this year, which does damage back if you don't take damage. Jump flip, all these things that you can sidestep, all these things that you can add damage on. So it's a fun play style to just do nothing on the villain's turn or do nothing on your turn, and then the villain's turn starts, and they get to do 0 damage. You counter their encounter cards, and you remove 5 throughout off the scheme, draw 6 more cards, deal a bunch of damage back, do it again. It's fun. I like it. And Nightcrawler does it well.
Yeah, just being able to pull Bamf, right, and just attack.
Yep. Bamf is
pull
huge.
Attack towards you. It's great without
with
exhausting.
One Bamf, that means you can guarantee block for you and your partner in a 2-player game.
Yeah.
And then you have all your extra stuff. You have his Tally Ho, which does another damage back, and then also gets your Bamf back, and all these fun things. Plus, Nightcrawler is just cool, and he also has built-in Retaliate, so you can do another damage back. Yeah. If you're taking no damage, you can throw Dauntless in there, so potentially with 1 defense card, you're doing 4 damage back every time. It really stacks up pretty fast, actually.
Yeah. You did play this through our first play of this campaign, which, I saw it in person. It did a ton of damage. It's really fun.
It's a little bit of a slower deck, I will say, but I enjoy it. I think it's fun.
Yeah. Well, okay, and it's time, I guess, for my pick for my favorite hero of the year. My favorite hero of the year, I had a lot to think about here. Nightcrawler was one of my honorable mentions. My second place ended up being Bishop. I like Bishop a lot, but he was displaced in the end by the one that I've had an up and down journey with, which is Iceman. Iceman ended up being my favorite of this wave. I was very excited for him when he was announced. Initially, I was pretty disappointed when I played him. And then, I think if you listen back to the podcast or if you're a regular listener, you will have been along on this ride in real time. I was initially disappointed. Then, I started to figure things out. He started to feel better. And then we kind of dropped down again. I was a little frustrated with him. And then this last month of the year, I've really leaned back into Iceman. It's thematic. It's winter time. But I have just been having more fun getting his frostbites to work and finding decks that really work for him. I've been playtesting a deck that is not published yet, but will be published soon, I think, that I've really enjoyed Iceman with. And I think he's viable across archetypes, across player counts. He does have some weaknesses, but I think that's fun for heroes. I like heroes that have a little bit of a struggle, that aren't just like turn it on and it's ready to go, that do need a little bit of setup, that do have some weaknesses they have to cover up with aspect cards. I like that a lot. And his whole thing is really good, I think, overall. It's not super powerful, but it can be strong. And I've had a ton of fun trying to get the Frostbite puzzle to work and, when to lean into Alter Ego to flip down to, maximize how many cards I shuffle back in, which has been a huge part of my enjoyment, right? I generally don't flip to Alter Ego a lot. I think people know that. If they've listened to other things I've been on the internet, if you know, you know. But I think being able to get 4, 5, 6 of them out there of your Frostbite cards and then flipping and allows you to shuffle 4, 5, 6 ice cards back in is really, really strong. And just as your deck whittles down, you're just concentrating those cards, which are really good.
Which that you get out more Frostbites usually, which then means you can do it again and again and again.
Yeah, until you reshuffle. But it's so good. I've had a ton of fun with Iceman. He has been, again, it's been a roller coaster. It's been up and down, but I think in the end, he became my favorite hero of the year, of the wave. Whew. That was a lot. That was a long episode.
It's a long episode. It's a lot of stuff.
There's a lot to recap. And this is only one wave. So, hopefully we're going to get back to more. We interviewed Tony Fanchi a couple episodes ago, and he indicated that they will be getting back to a more full release schedule, back to what it used to be, or closer to that at least. So I'm excited for that. But that is everything from us. But we would love to hear from you. So please put in the comments down below, or hit me on Discord, or send me an email, winninghandpodcast@gmail.com. What were your favorites? Aspect card, favorite hero, favorite mod set, favorite scenarios. What did we miss? Did I forget about something? Did we miss cards we should have chosen instead? Did you agree, disagree? Let me know. I love the discussions that take place in the comments. I read them all. I respond. But it's always nice to hear from you all and what you think. But yeah, with that, we're just going to put a bow on 2024. Wish everybody a happy new year. I hope 2025 is better than 2024 for Marvel Champions and everything else. But from me and Lethus, who's not here, and LazyTitan,
and Keiko and Spirit.
And Keiko and Spirit. We lost him, but he's still there. Happy New Year. We hope 2024 was okay for you. 2025 be better. And we will see you all in the next episode. Bye, everybody.
Happy holidays.